Hey everybody, Eric Dorward here with the Spartan Rocketry Club, continuing my build of the Estes Sasha, which is a two-stage 24mm rocket. When last we left, I finished building the first stage, the booster stage's engine mount. It's time to install that. So we need to break up the body tube for the first stage. There it is. So this is going to fit in like so. All right. And yeah, we're gonna want to make sure that not like that. You see through the slot construction, the fins are going to end up, or the motor mount rather, is going to end up sticking out the back a little bit, and the gap between the two rings here, well, that's going to fit right in that slot, and through the fin is going to fit in right there. There is a decent amount of space in there for whatever reason. Not entirely sure why. But we will use, actually we'll keep that out, we use one of these fins to check for alignment here. Or not alignment, for spacing purposes. Now, the motor mount needs to be glued in place, so I'm going to get some glue. And I'm going to paint that on the inside of the tube. The instructions don't actually call for a measurement for this. It just says basically paint it on in front of the slot, so that should be easy enough to accomplish. I'm actually going to paint it in from the other direction because it's a little bit shorter distance, so I don't have to reach in as far. Might need a little bit more glue here. Maybe not. It's just about right, actually. Just about perfect. Okay, and we do need some glue just on the inside here as well. So I'm going to just apply that directly. There we go. And this is going to go in. Actually, that's a little too far. Stop it right there. So the instructions say that what we're going to end up doing is we're going to use this as a spacer to make sure that it's in just far enough. So yeah, that fits just fine. I want to remove that because we don't want to glue that in place right now. The hook, well, the hook should probably be a little bit rotated like this, so it's in between the slots, but that really doesn't matter. That's, I don't know, maybe more for decoration than anything else. Just make sure I didn't mess with anything there. And then again, I do want to check to make sure that this fin fits in nice and evenly, and it does. Good. I'm actually going to let this sit for the time being. I think I want to end up putting a fillet here. I'm going to try to put a little fillet in there, but I'm going to let this dry first. So that's just going to sit. This is the ring that's going to join the two stages together, but I'm not going to put that in right now either. I think the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark it midway. It's 1.5 inches, so I should have a line here at I think I got a little bit of glue on my pencil here from the previous stage, and it's impeded its ability to function as a pencil. That's an interesting development, but not a particularly problematic one. There we go. Alright, so I'm just going to mark that off and keep that out of the way. So again, I'm going to let this sit for the moment. The fins are going to have to go on next for the first stage, but in the meantime, on the other hand, I am going to build the second stage motor mount. So this time, we still need this spacer, but this time we are not going to put a measurement at 1/2 inch. Apparently we need to put a measurement at 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to go from the other end. So there's 1/4 inch. I'm going to put an X through this one so I know not to use it anymore. I'm also going to need the mount. And I'm going to need to mark this one as well. It needs to be marked at 1 inch. So that's right there. That should be it for the marking. I do need to get the spacing rings here punched out. I find you're probably better off punching out the circles in the inside while the thing is still attached to the big sheet. Oops. Sometimes, anyway, it seems to work pretty well that way. If you're going to punch them out by hand, it seems to be easier and you're less likely to warp things. If you're doing the smaller work to punch out the little circles while it's still attached to the big sheet. Alright, so this should actually be pretty quick. We need here it is. We need the other engine block. This is going to go in again just like so. Again, it's going to be, well, it actually doesn't say precisely. I guess we're just going to use the spacer, so I mean I can put it in. It looks like that should go almost the whole way. That's okay. Again, I'm going to get myself some glue. Since I'm not measuring 3 inches this time, I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. Again, I'd rather have it too far than too short. So I'm just going to paint on inside here. This is probably too far in. But again, that's probably a good thing. It means that the engine block's going to have to go through the glue to get to this point. Engine block goes in, and I'm going to push it until I get to the line. I can feel it going through the glue. Move this. This is now trash, although maybe you want to keep it to hold the rocket together. Probably you don't need to do that. So that's in good shape. And then last but not least, to build this particular motor mount, again, need to put the spacer rings on. They're going to go at the 1 inch mark, and the other one's just going to go right at the end. So that's easy enough. I'm going to put them both on, and I'm going to slide them past where they belong. So basically I'm going to put them both kind of in the middle, like that. We'll do the slightly more challenging one first, so I'm going to put some glue at that line at about 1 inch. Oops. Caught some of the glue while I was spinning it around. That's okay. And I'm going to slide it down through the glue to that mark. The only thing I want to be careful about here is I definitely don't want to go past the mark, because this thing is going to have to fit inside the tube. Now I've got 3/4 of an inch as I just measured it out, but still I don't want to have any snafus with this. Make sure that this is 1 inch in. It is. Lovely. And I'm just going to again rotate it as I'm looking at it. It should be basically, maybe it'll wobble a little bit because the paper is slightly deformed, but it should basically spin up and down to show me that it's perpendicular. I'm going to try not to bump that while I do the rest of this. In fact, I'm going to hold it like this now so I'm not near it. The last part then is I'm going to apply a little bit more glue down here to the bottom end. And then I'm going to, get that out of the way, I'm going to slide this down right through the glue, and since I want it flush with the end, I'm just going to push it down and then use the ground to make sure that I have it nice and straight. The ground is quite good at aligning things for you. Naturally, of course, that pushed some glue onto my pad here, so easy enough fix. Mop that up. I am going to put a fillet on this right now. I'm going to put the fillet on the bottom part because, again, I'm not worried about alignment there. That is aligned, and if I'm bumping it here, I'm bumping it downward, so I can't really knock it out of alignment right now. The other part, the top part, the one that's at 1 inch, I'm going to let that glue set there before I put the fillet on, because I don't want to jostle it, and this is a great place for just being patient. It's not going to hurt anything to let this dry a little bit. This also, I could probably put the fillet on now. So let's do that. So these are always a little bit difficult. I'm going to hold it kind of diagonally, and I'm going to let gravity kind of pull the glue down into the crack as best as I can. It's not going to be perfect, of course, but it should be pretty good. I'm not sure I can get, I can't get my finger in there, so I'm going to have to use the dowel, my bit of balsa scrap again, to kind of shape the fillet here. Again, I want to keep it out of those holes, which didn't seem to really be a problem. But, yeah, there are a couple spots that needs to be, I did brush a little bit of glue kind of close to the hole, so I'm going to try to mop that out, or at least make sure the holes are not obstructed. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Reasonably good. Now this end I can't really get a fillet in there, it's too far. I could put some glue on the dowel and then try to dab it in place, but I don't think that's really worth it. This should be strong enough. Yeah, there is a little excess glue in there, but again, I can't get my finger in there to scrape it out. It should be fine, it's not going to hurt anything. So that's it for the time being. I'm going to let these, well, just set up for the time being, let them dry, and then it'll be time to move on and deal with the fins. I guess one last thing, I don't usually show this because it kind of doesn't come up very often. Let's get this out of the way. I am going to need to put lines on the main body tube. So again, usually I do this off camera just because it's kind of inconvenient. Here's the instructions. This is the fin alignment guide. This is what we use to get the lines on in the first place. So I'm going to chop this out of the instructions. There we go. Alright. We need a little bit of tape. 2 pieces of tape would be fine. Clear tape, masking tape, whatever. I mean, clear tape's probably a little bit better because it's thinner, but really it doesn't matter all that much. Alright, so some of my tape's going to go right here in the grayed out overlap section. If there is a trick to this, you do have to get this on straight when you start. The little lines here are for alignment purposes to show you that you got it on straight, which I did a pretty good job. If you have it really off, you'll know because the lines won't line up. Alright, once you have it on, then all you need to do is, again, there we go. You're going to mark off every spot where the line on the diagram is, both at the top of the line and the bottom. There are definitely some, oops, in here too. There's some kits I've seen where you don't, I mean, truly do you need a line at both the top and the bottom? I mean, I guess you don't. You can make a line, hopefully a straight line, with just one point. But having the 2 lines makes it more likely that you're actually, the line's going to be where you want it. You're going to end up connecting the dots properly. Alright, so all these, hold it so you can read it properly, all these are labeled FL fin lines, so sometimes you do need to label them, like what's a fin, what's a launch lug, but these are all identical, so it shouldn't make the slightest bit of difference. Once you have all the lines drawn, then this can come off. This thing has filled its usefulness, so you can pitch that. You might not want to until you actually draw the lines, but all these then you need to connect them. It's a royal pain to try to do this with a ruler, so this is where the instructions suggest to you to go use a door jamb, and I can't show that because I don't have a door jamb in frame here, but there's a little diagram here. Here shows you what to do. It's pretty straightforward. Just find a door jamb and use the pencil to connect the dots. Makes a nice straight line. If you do want to make this go the whole length of the body tube, so do be careful when you're holding it. If you're holding it against the door jamb up here, this part can wobble, so maybe hold it here for this purpose. And then connect the dots, align it the whole way. This pencil probably needs to be sharpened since it's got a little bit of glue on it. But in any event, that's what's going to happen off screen, and then in the next video we should be able to finish up. I'll put a fillet on this, I guess, off screen, but then we should be able to start in with the fins. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.